Depression.
Depression during the pandemic.
Depression.
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 You're depressed. So depressed. Wait a minute, how are you there from... What? Am I really depressed?
Are you sad and think you might need to see a doctor? Well, let's dive into that today. I'm going to share with you 2 stories of depression to later analyze them and explain how psychiatrists make the diagnosis of major depressive disorder. I'm going to tell you 2 stories of people I know from my medical school, and I'm going to change names and details so that their true identity isn't revealed. Quick warning though, these stories do have some sensitive, touchy information, so discretion is advised. If you prefer, you can skip to the clinical part of the video where I analyze these cases in the scope of how depression is diagnosed. I'll start with Betty's story. Betty was a social 23-year-old. She was smart, punctual. She was happy. Well, one Friday she had a big fight with her boyfriend Tim and they broke up. She was very sad and wanted to talk to someone about it, so she called her best friend. But she didn't pick up, so she then called her childhood friend Ricky. He picked up and she was like, "Hey Ricky, we broke up. I need to talk to someone. Can I come over?" And Ricky said yes. It was around 3 p.m. when she came over and they started talking. She cried and Ricky was there for her. Then he offered some alcohol to help, and well, she drank a little bit, and soon after, all she remembers is waking up in Ricky's bed, sore, with bruises and bite marks, and Ricky yelling at her to get out because his parents were coming home soon. So she managed to stumble her way out of the house. She checked her phone and it was already midnight. She survived, but nothing was the same after that night. 2 weeks later, she did a pregnancy test that came back positive. And a couple of weeks after, she had heavy bleeding and then a miscarriage. She started feeling hopeless and empty. She would cry sometimes unexpectedly, and the joy that she felt towards her career and friends suddenly vanished. She noticed herself eating less and less and losing significant weight, and she couldn't sleep well, and in the morning she didn't want to get out of bed. She started coming in late and many times not even showing up to the hospital. She missed so many rotations that she had to withdraw the semester, and after that, I didn't see her again. She stopped answering messages from any of the classmates, and no one really knew much about her after that. The second story that I wanted to share with you is Alyssa's story. Alyssa at the time was a 20-year-old. She was shy and reserved, and she didn't participate much in class. But overall, she seemed to be a normal person. I started getting to know her as a friend, and she started sharing with me her struggles with depression. She mentioned how her family was very loving and accepting, but somehow she constantly felt hopelessly empty. She would go to therapy every week and receive medication, which she said helped, but not completely. She said it was a lot worse before she got professional help. See, before, it was very hard for her to get out of bed, and she couldn't concentrate or think. And all throughout the day, she had this mental fogginess that didn't allow her to study properly. She also had recurrent thoughts of wanting to go to sleep and not wake up, and just stop living altogether. But she never had planned or tried anything to end her life. Her mom had been diagnosed with depression, as well as her grandmother, who had a failed attempt of suicide. So, let's see what we can learn about these people. These 2 girls are examples of how clinical depression can present. First of all, these examples both include women. This is significant because depression is present up to 3 times higher in women compared to men. And if you notice, Betty's symptoms were related to a traumatic event into her life, while Alyssa's didn't have any personal events in relation to her depression. The reality is that there doesn't always have to be a cause for being depressed. For Alyssa, her family was loving. She even looked like a normal person on the outside, but on the inside, she really wasn't feeling good. And her family history of depression points more towards a possible genetic origin of her symptoms. And for Betty, the fact that there was an event linked to the development of her depression doesn't necessarily change the course of the disease or the prognosis. In other words, Alyssa doesn't have it better because there is no event linked to her symptoms. You see, what most impacts prognosis is the symptom severity, the symptom duration, if it's more than 2 months, younger age, larger depressive episodes, and other medical or psychiatric diagnoses. Now, concerning the specific symptoms of depression, people can all manifest depression differently, and self-analysis is hardly ever objective, which is why it's tricky to self-diagnose, and it's important to seek professional help. There are also several depressive disorders. The main one is MDD, or major depressive disorder, but that's just one of them. The others include disruptive mood dysregulation disorder, dysthymia, premenstrual dysphoric disorder, and depressive disorder due to medical conditions or substance use. And we can talk about all the others in separate videos in the future, but for now let's focus on MDD, what people commonly know as depression. Let's look at what mental health professionals look through to make the diagnosis. You see, what differentiates MDD from other depressive disorders are the timing of symptoms. MDD is characterized by a clear-cut change in mood for at least 2 weeks, but can last considerably longer than that, with remissions between depressive episodes. Remissions, by the way, are periods of time where there are no symptoms or very few depressive symptoms. The diagnosis can be made with one single episode that lasts 2 weeks, but for the most part, it's a recurrent disorder. It's highly variable, but sometimes some people are symptom-free or have 1 to 2 symptoms for years, with discrete episodes in between. Others, on the other hand, rarely experience remissions. Careful attention is given to differentiate normal sadness from MDD. You see, if your sadness is significantly altering your daily functioning, then you most likely have MDD, not normal sadness. Now, I keep talking about depressive symptoms, so here they are. There are 9 symptoms, of which to diagnose MDD, you have to have at least 5 for at least 2 weeks. And one of the symptoms must be one of the following first 2 symptoms. Number 1, sadness almost all day, every day. Number 2, loss of interest or pleasure for things you enjoyed before. Number 3, weight loss or gain. Number 4, more or less sleep. Number 5, faster or slower movements. Number 6, fatigue. 7, worthlessness or guilt. 8, mental cloudiness. 9, recurrent thoughts of death or suicide. Anyway, you guys, do you have any comments or questions you'd like to ask? Don't be shy, just let me know. If you want to share your story in the comments in hopes that it will help someone that reads it, go ahead. I think it'd be absolutely amazing to create a tight-knit community here on YouTube with you guys. Finally, if there is anything I'd like you to take away from this video, it's that if you feel like you need help, go seek it out. Don't keep things bottled up or keep things a secret. You're not alone.